The Skin Trade. Read for you by Claudia Black.
Willie had a long, morose face, with broad, rubbery features capable of an astonishing variety of expressions. Right now, he looked as though someone had just run over his puppy. "It would not have been a quickie," he said, with vast, wounded dignity. He coughed and pushed himself back in the chair, looking oddly childlike against the red velvet cushions. "Randy," he said, his voice suddenly gone scared and weary. "This is for real." She'd first met Willie Flambeau when his collection agency had come after her for the unpaid bills left by her ex. She'd been out of work, broke and desperate, and Willie had taken pity on her and given her work at the agency. As much as she'd hated hassling people for money, the job had been a godsend, and she'd stayed long enough to wipe out her debt. Willie's lopsided smile, endless propositions, and mordant intelligence had somehow kept her sane. They'd kept in touch off and on, even after Randy had left the hounds of hell, as Willie liked to call the collection agency. All that time, Randy had never heard him sound scared, not even when discoursing on the prospect of imminent death from one of his many grisly and undiagnosed maladies. She sat down on the couch. "Then I'm listening," she said. "What's the problem?" "You see this morning's Courier?" he asked. "The woman that was murdered on Parkway?" "I glanced at it," Randy said. "She was a friend of mine." Oh, Jesus. Suddenly, Randy felt guilty for giving him a hard time. "Willie, I'm so sorry." "She was just a kid," Willie said. 23. You would have liked her. Lots of spunk. Bright, too. She'd been in a wheelchair since high school. The night of her senior prom, her date drank too much and got pissed when she wouldn't go all the way. On the way home, he floored it and ran head-on into a semi. Really showed her. The boy was killed instantly. Joni lived through it, but her spine was severed. She was paralyzed from the waist down. She never let it stop her. She went on to college and graduated with honors and a good job. You knew her through all of this? Willie shook his head. Nah, met her about a year ago. She'd been a little over-enthusiastic with her credit cards, you know the tune. So I showed up on her doorstep one day, introduced her to Mr. Scissors. One thing led to another, and we got to be friends, like you and me, kind of. He looked up into her eyes. The body was mutilated. Who'd do something like that? Bad enough to kill her, but... Willie was beginning to wheeze, his asthma. He stopped, took a deep breath. And what the fuck does that mean? Mutilated? Jesus, what a nasty word, but mutilated how? I mean, are we talking Jack the Ripper here? I don't know. Does it matter? It matters to me. He wet his lips. I phoned the cops today, tried to get more details. It was a draw. I wouldn't tell them my name and they wouldn't give me any information. I tried the funeral home too. A closed casket wake, then the body is going to be cremated. Sounds to me like something's getting covered up. Like what? She said. Willie sighed. You're going to think this is real weird, but what if... He ran his fingers through his hair. He looked very agitated. What if Joni was, well, savaged? Ripped up, maybe, even. Well, partially eaten. You know, like by some kind of animal? Willie was going on, but Randy was no longer listening.